Okay, so just continuing, we have already recorded the materials, wages and expenses, process B. So we are told that the normal loss is estimated at 590. So normal loss is estimated at 590 for each process. So you just put it here at 10% scrap. So that means there is a scrap, which is 10%. So 10% of this, that would be 100. And we are told the scrap realizes 80 for process A and 200 for process B. So this scrap it is the one that we are told it realizes 80 and 200, and is not supposed to be put in the process account in terms of the costs, or sorry, in terms of the revenue. So for the normal loss, we are not told how much they will be sold. So this one we just ignore. We just ignore that, the normal loss, it has no resale value. So what we shall do is to cost the output and the scrap. That's what we shall do. So from there, we now get the unit costs. So the unit costs, let me get the unit costs. Or before we get the unit cost, we need to balance. We need to balance the units columns. So you can see this is 1,000. So this is obviously more than 1,000. Tell me the balancing figure, which now I told you will be abnormal gain. The balancing figure will be what?
520.
520. So with that now, we get the unit costs. So unit cost, we said you add these these costs. So utachukua hii 125,000 plus 28,000 plus 8,000.
161,000.
161,000. So there is no scrap revenue here from the normal loss. So now the whole of this we divide by the expected output. And the expected output, we said it is the input here minus the normal loss. The input minus the normal loss. So this one should be divided by 1,000 less 590. You get something to do with 393. Is that so?
No, 94,990. Once.
161,000 divided by 1,000 minus 590.
Yes, 393.
Yes. So that 393 ndio unatumia hapa kwa abnormal gain. 393, so unasema 520 times 393. Unapata 204,360. Alafu hapa unakuja unaweka 393. Hapo kwa the output. So 830 times 393. 326,190. Alafu hapa 393. So this will be 39,300. Hiyo tuko sawa eh?
Yes.
So let's draw process B account. Process B account.
So hiyo unit cost imekata cross.
Yes. The unit cost is usually for the finished goods, abnormal gain, abnormal loss. This is part of abnormal loss. And then the abnormal gain.
Okay.
Yeah. The sign that way.
Unit cost.
And with that account should almost balance now. Ukiadd now this, hii ilikuwa already 161. 161,000 plus 204, 360. Nakuja 365. 360. After 365, 360. Alafu sasa ile ukisema 326, 190 plus 39, 300. So now inakuja 365, 490. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes. So the small balancing figure, hiyo small balancing kametoka kwa
Hiyo rounding.
hii rounding. Hii rounding. Hiyo ndio iko na hiyo, if you wanted to reconcile, you just go like this. Unachukua these units that are here. 1,000 minus 590 unapata 410. So 410 times 393 inakuja 163, 161, 130.
So kama in an exam setting hatufai ku round off, tutumie na decimals.
Yeah, we recommend you use 3 decimals.
Okay.
But kama kuna decimals, it can never balance. It can never.
Right.
Kama kuna decimals, not unless they are exact. So what is more important in management accounting is to show your work.
Entries.
You see, when you have shown the workings, na examiner hajakwambia how many decimals to use, you are okay.
Okay.
So what I wanted to show you, you see now here, when I multiply by these units in Rudy 161, 130, yeah?
Yes.
So now it is more than hii tulianza nayo 161 by 130. So hiyo 130 ndio hii. Ukikuja hapa uiongeze hapa 130. Zinakupea 490.
Yes.
Yes. So let's do process B account. Process B account. So in process B account, we have details. We have units. We have the costs. And then we have amount. Then we do have details. We have units. We have the costs and the amounts. So sasa we bring what is coming from A. So we come here and say Process A. We have 830 units, each worth 393, then 326, 190. That is how you transfer them. Then you bring the materials. We have additional materials. We are told there are 70, and each one was costing 200. So 70 times 200 is how much?
$14,000.
14,000. Then the next one is wages. So wages, we have 10,000. Direct expenses is 5250. And then the output, we have now here finish. Finish is 780. Normal loss, we are told it is still 590. And then the scraps, it is 10%. So it is 10% of these two now. It is 10% of these two. These two are 900. So the normal loss is 90. Sorry, the scraps. Normal loss has no revenue there. So just balance that account and get the unit cost. So the balancing figure is on which side? Must be on this side, abnormal gain. That is 780 plus 590 plus 90 minus 900 is 560. Are you agreeing with that?
Yes.
So,
Okay, 560.
so now the unit cost, you add this one, 326, 190 plus 14,000 plus 15,250 I'm getting 355 for 40.
55. Yes. Minus 90.
Yes.
Minus, we have the scrap now, Mr. Kimani.
Yes, but the scraps we are not selling. The revenue for the scraps, they are supposed to be done in their own account called abnormal loss account. The only revenue that comes in here is for the normal loss. Is for the normal loss. For the scraps, they should have their own account. So we divide by this 900 minus the normal loss of 590. Tell me what you're getting. 1147.
1147, yes.
So hiyo 1147 utaiweka hapa, you multiply. Na uweke hapa, you multiply. Na uweke hapa. Yeah. Sure. So let us look for another question. So later on your own, you shall do this one of September 2021. September 2021, question 5. Question 5A, September 2021, question 5A. Inafanana na hizo zenye tumekuwa tukijibu. So let me look for a slightly different one. Yes, this one that was tested in May 2021. Go to May 2021. May 2021, question 4. May 2021, question 4. So May 2021, question 4. I hope you are there.
Yes, Mr. Kimani.
The following information is available for process 2 of Winamp Fabrications Limited for the month of September 2020. Opening stock, degree of completion, we have labor, material, overheads. Additional information is that transfer from process 1 amounted to 3,600 units valued at that. Additional costs incurred in process 2 include, we have materials, labor, overheads. The units scrapped amounted to 2,400 with the following degrees of completion. The closing stock was 5,400 with the following degree of completion: materials, labor, overheads. Transfer to process 3 amounted to 27,600 units. There was a normal loss of 10% of production in the process. The units scrapped were realized at shillings 10 per unit. So you're told to do a statement of equivalent production, cost of equivalent unit for each element of costs, and process 2 account using FIFO. So let's start by drawing process 2 account. Process 2 account. So we do have the details, units, costs, amounts. Details, units, costs, and amounts. So we have details here, units, costs, and amounts. Details, units, costs, and amounts. When you are told that there is opening stocks, when you are told that we have opening stocks, what do? You begin with opening stock here, but we call it opening work in progress. So the others that we did hazikuwa na stocks. So opening ndio inawekwa hapo na closing itakuja hapa. Then this rather we are told the opening stock was 4,800 units. 4,800 units valued at 165,000. Valued at 165,000. So with that, we have to proceed. The degrees of completion will come later. The next thing is now what came from the previous process. So process 1. Process 1, we are told it brought 30,600. 30,600 valued at 306. Valued at 306,000. Additional costs, we have materials. So let's just call it materials or added materials, 134,400. We have labor, 394,200. 394,200. We have overheads. We have overheads, 525,600. 525,600. So sasa, the next thing tunaambiwa, the units scrapped were 2004. So scraps, we come and bring them here. Scraps 2004. Sorry, 2,400. The degrees of completion we are given. The closing stock. So closing stock unaiandika mahali unafikiria account yako itakuja kuishia. So closing work in progress. Some people call it WIP. Closing WIP or work in progress. We are told it is 5,400. 5,400. And we are given the degrees of completion. And then we are told transfer to process 3. So hiyo tutakuja hapa tuseme process 3. What went to process 3? It is 27,600. 27,600. And then normal loss was 10% of production in the process. Normal loss. So they are saying normal loss is 10% of production. It's always good to pay attention to the wordings used to describe normal loss. So here they are telling us it is 10% of production. So the production in this process is this one. So 10% of that will be 2760. 2760. Others will tell you it is 10% of input. So they'll just give you whatever they want. So you need to pay attention. And the units scrapped were realized at 10%, rather 10. So this one should be awarded to the normal loss. The normal loss. We are going to give it to the normal loss. That's where we normally put them in these processes. So if you put them there, 10, it will be 27,600. Now the other scraps, those ones we don't show them. We don't give them anything there. They will be costed appropriately huku chini. So the normal loss tunaiwekea hiyo, part of scraps. So let's see whether their units are balancing. The units columns. So you add this 4,800 plus 30,600 equals 35. So if I less 54 and I less 2760 and I less 27,600 and I less 2,400. How many are we getting?
$2,760. It is
Yes,
an
and it's
abnormal.
an abnormal gain, see there?
Yes.
Abnormal gain, 2760. It is put there. Now, when the next thing now is to balance the units or rather the amounts. When you have stocks, you don't now compute the unit cost like we were doing with the others, but we prepare something we call statement of equivalent units. We prepare something we call statement of equivalent units. Statement of equivalent units. And this is where you specify that we are using FIFO method. So in this statement, we have various columns. The first one is details. Details. Then the next one is units or physical units. We call them physical units. Physical units. Physical units. Now, these other columns, they depend on the items that you have been given, the cost items. These ones, how easy. This one. The cost items. The ones that you have here are the ones that come here. So, this one is process one. Some people call it previous process, but I just want to put it the way it appears on our account because that is what I have said. Process one, we have materials, we have labor, and we have overheads. So these items that are here, excluding the opening work in progress, easy. They are the ones that come to form the columns. When you're using FIFO, the design is you first of all bring these items. The items which do not have the unit costs are the ones which should come here. So tuko na hii, tuko na hii, tuko na hii, na tuko na hii. They don't have the unit costs. They don't have the unit costs. So if they don't have the unit costs, we start with the process 3. Actually, let me use the common name that will be used everywhere. finished goods. Now, finished goods is broken into two. There is what we call opening work in progress. And then new inputs. So the finished goods, the opening work in progress is 4,800. And the new input you get it as this one that we completed. Naona hii 27,600 minus the opening work in progress 22,800. 22,800. So these two, they form the finished goods. Kuna ile ilikuwa imetangulia and what entered today. What entered today. So these two, you break them that way. Higher. The next one that you bring, you can now bring the scraps. You can bring the scraps. The scraps is 2,400. The next one that you bring is the abnormal gain. Although abnormal gain ingekuja tu hapa kwa hizi, but no harm wherever you bring it. Abnormal gain. So abnormal gain is 2760. The other item that does not have unit costs is the closing work in progress. Closing work in progress. So the closing work in progress is 5,400. 5,400. So when you have done that, hii huwa inafungwa hapa. And you get a figure called total equivalent units. Total equivalent units. Total equivalent units. So here, ndio utaona examiner kiita like the statement of equivalent units. So hii statement of equivalent units huwa inajazwa namna hii. For this opening work in progress, ukiangalia hapa juu tunaambiwa as far as materials are concerned, they were 70% complete. Labor 60% and overheads 60%. Now, this opening work in progress, it is the units which were already in process 2 yesterday, but we never completed them. So tumeraukia leo kuziendelesha. But they had come from process 1, either yesterday or the day before. So as we account for them, we take that they have nothing in the previous process. So they are not given any cost, rather any unit. Let me just put 0. But these others, hizi zingine zote, they are taken to have come today from the previous process. They are taken to have come today, all of them, 100%. That's why even when the examiner is giving you the percentages, you see he's just giving you 3 percentages, but we have 4 columns. because it is expected you know that whatever came from previous process ilikuja ikiwa yote. There is no way you can be in section 4 and haujamaliza section 3. So ukikuja 4, already you are done with 3. So these ones tunaziweka zikiwa hivi 28,800. Hii 24, this one 2760, and this one. Hiyo inawekwa ikiwa full, the previous process.
Mr. Kimani,
Yes.
excuse kidogo, let me pray. Prayer time imenipita.
Okay, sawa.
Give me 6 minutes, then I'll resume class.
Sawa, 6 minutes. Okay, sawa.
Thank you. Mr. Kimani, I'm back. Thank you.
Okay, back we proceed. So I was saying that now we consider these percentages that are given here. So for the opening stocks, when you see these percentages, it means that work was done yesterday. So for today, we are dealing with the balance. So as far as materials are concerned, we will now work with the balance, 30%. So that after 30% of this, 4,800. 0.3 times 4,800. Inakupea ngapi?
1440.
Yeah, 1440. Then labor, it was done 60%. So we get 40% of 4,800. You get what?
$91.20.
1920. The same case gear, 1920. Sindio? Then for the new input hiyo hatujapewa their percentages. Here, it is what was started and completed. Remember, it's part of finished goods. So this one is assumed to go 100%. So 100% of this, unaiwekea 22,800, 22,800, 22,800. That way. Alafu sasa, for the scraps, we are already told by information 3. As far as materials are concerned, they had gone 100. So 100% of 2,400 is 2,400. Ikikuja kwa labor, they had gone 70. So 0.7 times 2,400. That is 1,680. Then for material overheads, they had also gone 70. 1,680. 1,680. Now, abnormal gain, it is not mentioned in the question. Abnormal gain is part of the completed goods. Actually, we show it. Unaona inawekwa this side, it is opposite. So it should come in as a negative sign. So, uje hapa uweke negative sign hivi, because it is on the opposite side. You see these others are on this side. So it should have a negative sign. So 2760, which is negative. 2760, which is negative. 2760, which is also negative. They should not have the same sign. Then for the closing work in progress, so closing work in progress, we work now with the percentages given. Material, it is 60. So 60% of 5,400. 5,400. It is that 240. That's 240. Then 40% of that 200. No. Of 5,400. It's 2160. And the same case here. 2160. Now sasa unaona hii closing venye tumeichukua 60 na 40 it will be the opening tomorrow. So tomorrow now tutamalizia. So sasa hapa kwa 60 tutafanya 40. Hapa kwa hizi 40 tutafanya 60. Yeah. So from there now you add. We normally add from here. We add from here 22,800 plus 2,400 minus 2,760 plus 5,400. That is 27,800.
27,840.
Yes. Then 1,440 plus 22,800 plus 2,400 minus 2,760 plus that 240 is 27,120. 1,920 plus 22,800 plus 1,680 minus 2,760 plus 2,160 is 25,800. Then 1,920 plus 22,800 plus 1,680 minus 2,760 plus 2,160 is 25,800. Yeah. So sasa hiyo ndio, ama kwanza tuendelee. We now bring the costs. We bring the costs. Hapa. Bring the costs. So the costs, we have the previous. They are called previous period. For this one, we do not recognize the previous. When you are using FIFO, we don't recognize the previous. We just recognize the current. If you are using another method we call weighted average, that's when you bring the previous. Easy. So we bring the current, the scrap revenue, then we will get the net cost, net total cost, and then we get cost per unit. Cost per unit. Cost per unit. Hapo ndio itakuwa mwisho yake, mwisho ya hiyo table. Cost per unit. Cost per unit. So, in bringing the current unachukua hizi. Venye tu tulizileta. So, for the process 1, ni 306,000. So, hapa kwa current, weke 306,000. Kwa material, weke 134,400. Kwa labor, weke that 394,200. Na kwa overheads, 525,600. 525,600. Then, dikata hii nimeiwekea line yake, because it will be subtracted. Sasa, kama kuna revenue huwa inatolewa hapa. Ile 27,600. Unaitoa hapo. So unasema ni 306,000 minus 27,600, 278,400. Then this one, sasa hizi hakuna kitu imetolewa, 34,400, 394,200, 525,600. From there, the next thing you do, is to divide this cost by these units. You divide this cost by these units. So like now hii ya kwanza utasema 278,400 divide by 27,840. Unapata 10. Haya, uende kwa hiyo ingine 134,400. You divide by 27,120. Unapata, we can call it 5. Let's call it 5.
39.
394,200 divide by 25,800. You can call it
15.
15, eh? Do not balance. Do not exactly balance. So 525,600.
20.
You divide by 25,800. You're saying 20. So we go for 20. Yeah. But if you want to use decimals, no harm, eh? So sasa hiyo ndio inaitwa, if you look at your question paper, they are telling you to give them the statement of equivalent production. The statement of equivalent production ndio hii, kuanzia hapa mpaka hapa kwa units. Alafu they are asking statement of or cost of equivalent unit for each cost of element. So ndio hii mpaka hapa. So that's where now we have 14 marks. So kuanzia hapo, we now do the valuation per unit. The valuation per unit. Down there, the same valuation per unit. Valuation per unit. Valuation per unit. So in the valuation per unit, we start with the closing work in progress. Closing work in progress. So for closing work in progress, according to our question, it went through the previous process 100%. There's 100. So unaipea this 10. Food 100. Then for the materials, it was 60%. So unaipea 0.6 of these 5. 0.6 of the 5. Kwa labor, it was 40%. So unaipea 40% times 15. And then kwa overheads, unaipea 40%. 40% of 20. So let's work out that. So it will be 10 plus 0.6 times 5 plus 0.4 times 15 plus 0.4 times 20. Tell me you are getting what?
27.
Sasa hiyo 27 kuja uweke hapa kwa closing work in progress hapa. Hiyo ndio unit cost ya closing work in progress 27 and multiply by 5,400. You record 145,800. Is that so?
Yes.
Yeah. The next one that we need to determine, is the scraps. So for the scraps, we are told we gave them 100% everywhere. No, it was not everywhere. Fine. So it is 10. This one was 100%. Then kwa material, they were also 100. So 100, we had 5. Lakini kwa labor, they were 70. So 0.7 times 15. Plus huyu mwingine, it is 0.7 times 20. Times 20. So this will be 15 plus. So you are getting what?
39.540.
Yeah, so we can call it 40. So hiyo 40 utakuja tuiandike hapa kwa scraps. Hiyo ndio unit cost ya scraps. So 40 times 2400 unapata 96,000 eh? 96,000. Hivyo ndio tumefanya. Hii 27 tulishaleta hapo na hii 40. So tumebakisha kuleta hii ya process na hii. So kama hatungekuwa na abnormal gain, there is no need of going through the other step. We just get the balancing figure. But now that we have the abnormal gain, itabidi tupitie hapo. So going to do the finished goods. So the finished goods, for the finished goods, we have details, we have the units, and then we have the costs. So we can start with the opening work in progress. Opening work in progress. So for the opening work in progress, the units were 4,800. The units were 4,800. So their costs, what you do, unachukua these units, hizi, you multiply them with the unit cost, yenye tulikuwa nazo hapa. So, ya kwanza itakuwa 1440 times 5 plus 1920 times 15 plus 1920 times 20. So let's work that out. 1440 times 5 plus 1920 times 15 plus 1920 times 20. 74,400. Now this one, I should have labeled. This is completion. This is completion. And then we have the previous. The previous. Previous, hii 165. Naona hatukuileta hapa kwa statement. Sasa inaletwa hapa. The previous. 165,000. 165,000. Then we have the new input. The new inputs. So the new inputs, they're easy. These ones. So we also argue the same way. We also argue the same way. They are 22,800. So utachukua hizi units, hizi zote, ukimultiply na these ones. But because they are the same, we can just factorize to 22,800 times into brackets. Uchukue hii 10 plus 5 plus 15 plus 20. Badala ya kushinda tukimultiply each. You factorize that way. So useme 10 plus 5 plus 15 plus 20 equals times 22,800 is 1140,000. So now from there, abnormal gain. Abnormal gain. So the abnormal gain is 2760. Hiyo inaletwa hapo ikiwa negative. Inaletwa ikiwa negative. But it has no cost. Remember, it was subtracted, so it's not part of these ones. Was subtracted. So with that, we get the total. We get the total. So add these costs. For not cost, units. 4,800 plus 22,800. Plus, actually now minus 2760. Napata 24,840. So let's add the cost up there. 1140,000 plus 165,000 plus 74,400. 1379,400. Then per unit or unit costs. Unit costs, it will be this 1379,400. You divide by 24,840. You divide by 24,840. Inakuja around 56 in the spirit of rounding up or down. Are you able to confirm that?
Yes.
So sasa with that, hiyo ndio unakuja unaleta hapa 56. Utaleta hapo kwa process 3. So useme 56 times 27,600. It is 1545,600. 1545,600. Alafu bado ilete hapa kwa abnormal gain. Uirudishe kwa abnormal gain. Kwa abnormal gain. Leta hapa kwa abnormal gain 56. So useme 56 times 27 60, 154,560. Yes, that's how we handle FIFO. So is that okay?
Yes.
So on your own, you can attempt this one that was tested in November 2020. November 2020, question 5C. November 2020, question 5C. So if you attempt that, when we meet next, you remind me we do May 2019, question 4B. May 2019, question 4B. Ni kama tu hii, lakini sasa hiyo inatumia another method called weighted average. May 2019, question sijui nimesema 4B ama gani. Yes, 4B. So you attempt hiyo nimekupea na this we will do that other one. So I'm going to send the video so that you can take time ufuatilie vizuri uone in case there is something that is not clear, but the process ni hivyo. Kama hakuna abnormal gain, sasa haitakuwa hapa. So hapa haitakuwa sawa. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that is fine. We edit at that juncture. We will pick up from there in our next lesson. Thank you. I will send the video maybe later in the night.
Okay, thank you.